There are so many people who look up to you, Masoom. There's so many people who want to essentially become you. What is your advice to a 16-year-old who wants to take up content creation in the world of fashion?
I think let's not restrict it to fashion because I think content can today go way beyond that. आप ऋषभ पे ही पूरा एक content series बना सकते हो. He's so entertaining, right?
As long as you're promoting it, everyone will watch it.
No, but you know, I started when I was 18 years old, so frankly not so different in age from all of you. And what is amazing about doing it at that age is you don't think, you just do, right? You have a thought, you bring it to life. Don't let me or anyone else tell you how you should do it. You have to just look inside, like what interests you, what makes you happy, what makes you smile, and create content on that. For some it could be outfits, for some it could be a TV show, for so many of the boys it could be video games and kind of creating content on that, or exactly that one. But I think it has to be, when you're looking to create content, it has to be something that you feel passionate about and something that you can become an expert in. तो आप बन जाओगे fashion, for example, you start creating that content, but it's important that then you teach yourself as much as you can about that topic and go so deep that if anyone asks you any question on it, how Rishabh is going to ask me today, I can answer.
You know, I can't be dressed like this and asking you questions when you're dressed like that. So when it comes to fashion, you set the trends, we just follow them. Masoom, let me ask you, you've taken Indian apparel across the world and you made it cool for young people to wear Indian formals. Today, across the world, people are aspiring to wear Indian formals. From when you started to where it is today, do you see there to be a paradigm shift in the way Indian clothes are perceived by Westerners? Or do you think that it is just the lack of exposure that they had back then, and now that they have exposure to this, that they are, well acquainted with Indian?
So, back in the day, the only time you'd wear your first sari on your school farewell, right? That's going to come soon for all of you. And that's what it was about. It was such a special moment. But I think something that I've tried to do is, can we wear it more often? Can we embrace it more easily? Rishabh, I don't think they're interested in this sari conversation. Yeah. Unko jo interest hai, ask something like that.
Are you interested in the sari conversation?
Exactly. See, I know you better.
I'm going to say no only in a sari conversation, no ma. Let me ask you, Indian fashion overseas, and that is something that you've done beautifully, where you've actually put Indian fashion overseas on the global map. For a lot of our conversation being on India, I.I.M.U.N speaks about imparting Indianness to young people. Therefore, in context of that, when you talk about Indian fashion overseas, do you see there to be a shift in the way the world and the West perceives Indian fashion?
Absolutely. I think the shift is not Indian fashion. I think the shift is India. So 5 years ago, 2024, no, 7-8 years ago, I got married to my boyfriend then, and he unfortunately lived very far away from India. He lived in Belgium. So first he tricked me. First he said we'll live between Bombay and Surat, which is why I said yes. By the time we were engaged, he said no, we have to go to Belgium. Then I had no way out, so that's what I went with. So I went to Belgium and I said, okay, I love my work and there's no way I'm going to give up on it. But how can I create content on fashion in India and I talk about my family and it's so much Indian fashion and the main brands I work with are Indian or are creating Indian clothes. So I said, how can I do this sitting in Europe, right? Which is stunning, but it doesn't make sense. So I said, okay, let me take India to the world. Because that's the opportunity that I have. That's what I know best about, is I know the best about India and Indian fashion. And I said, what if I introduce that to the world? And I think the biggest problem at that time was obviously being in a room where you're the only Indian. So when you look around, there's nobody who looks like you, there's nobody who sounds like you. So do you guys think I speak like good English? Okay, so when I would go to, like, the first time I went to Paris Fashion Week, or I would go to an event in Milan or London, they would just not understand what I was saying because they thought I had such a heavy Indian accent that I would have to repeat every sentence 3 times for them to just understand me. And I mean, of course, it was frustrating, but that was all the more kind of that push and that motivation that this needs to change. So, and then I started doing it. I started taking my saris to the Eiffel Tower. I'm shooting in front of the Eiffel Tower. We were living in Belgium, so I would shoot with all those beautiful European locations, and I took my Indian clothes there and shot there. I could have changed my style completely, but I recognize that this is my strength, right? This is what's unique. What's going to be different about me if I'm wearing that dress that everyone else is wearing and on the streets of Europe? But wouldn't it be so cool if I was wearing Indian fashion on the streets of the world, and if I could take that? So, and people loved it. It was a different idea, it was unique, and people loved it. And soon, very soon, so first everyone used to look at me like, she's lost it, like she's gone crazy. 2 years later, everyone would stop me and say, that's very interesting. Oh wow, I love India. 5 years down the line, today the world is obsessed with India, right? So I think saris are today, it's something that so many international designers are showcasing on their runways, and with no credit also to India, but it's happening. And it's been incredible to be a part of that, however small, but be a part of that movement.
Very humble. You can understand from the applause, very humble to say that you've been a small part of the journey and you led that journey many a way. Let me ask you this also, that you are somebody who's gone through a lot of challenges, and these challenges essentially are also sometimes adversities, and you've dealt with these adversities because you've not just been somebody who's been a part of an industry, but in a way you've built an industry, been called by many people as the OG content creator, the OG creator when it comes to fashion, and now of course different disciplines. But what I'm trying to ask you is, there would have been adversity. How did you deal with that adversity, and is that something that you touch upon in your book?
Yes, absolutely. I talk about all the challenges. I talk about all the failures, right? I think I'm sure he'll ask me this question at some point, that what is the message you want to give to everyone here today, so I'll give it now only. That I think you have to accept that failure is going to happen no matter what. It's a part of your journey. And I think my hardest part was that when I failed, I didn't know how to lift myself up because I thought that was the end, right? And that could mean, like, if you're failing an exam or you've had a really bad day, sometimes you just feel like I can't move on, like, oh my god, like, how could I do this so badly, like, there is no tomorrow after this day and how badly it's gone. But you have to know that failure is a part of the journey, it's a part of the process, and you have to keep moving forward, you have to keep going and keep taking that step, no matter how small it is. And that's what I talk about in the book. Sorry, going back to that, I talk about that in the book. I talk about how I started off as a content creator, and that time no one knew what content creation was, so everyone would be like, why is she just taking photos all day, and that's not a job to have. And people would make so much fun of it. There was this time I once entered a room and there were 10 girls standing, and they were mimicking how I talk, because on Snapchat is really big today, was really big back then. So all day I would be talking like, hi guys, today I've done this, today I'm wearing this, today I'm going here. And I walked into this room and I saw these 10 girls imitating me, and it crushed me, right? I felt like my world has fallen apart. Like, how could this be happening? Like, why are my friends making fun of me? It was so humiliating. And you feel like you can't move on from that moment. But you can. I'm here. And you do.
And living this here, of course, this.
Every aspect, one clap.
Quite the living testimony of the fact that you can, against all...
1 second. Every speaker got so many claps after every answer. It's just me.
You can ask them. Did every speaker get so many claps?
No. Say no. Say no.
They're just a very receptive audience.
Love it.
And all the speakers that have come are equally charismatic. But one of the things that I must ask you is that a lot of people move from, like the person that we had before you, he's moved from writing books to being a content creator. Today's day and age is more about social media. It is about reaching out to a larger number of people. You have written a conventional book, so to say. When I wrote mine, a lot of people ask me saying, Rishabh, you should just make more reels. You should not be writing books. What was your thought of writing and documenting all of this in a book when you ask young people between a book and social media, how many of you are on social media? How many of you would prefer reading a book over social media? Okay, now you're just being smart.
Fab.
Yeah.
So you all are going to read my book, right?
So, but what got you to document your entire journey?
So, for me, taking a picture and posting it or creating a reel is like breathing. I could do it right now, which I will, by the way, at the end of it. It comes so naturally to me. It's like taking a deep breath, yeah. It's no big deal. And I think life is about pushing your boundaries and challenging yourself. This book was the hardest thing I've ever done. I don't know what it was like for you, Rishabh, but for me it was terrorizing. It was such a hard feat. And I love the challenges. I think when you challenge yourself, when you set a goal that you don't think you can achieve, that's where the magic lies. Like that's when you hit your eureka.
So you're challenging yourself by doing things which have not been done before.
Yeah.
And that of course is something that is really cool to do. But for a lot of people, they stick by things that they are good at. Like say for example, a lot of people that I know who are very accomplished would be very happy to be bracketed in a particular bracket. You're somebody who's crossing domains. You have crossed the domain from a person who was creating content on fashion to then on India, then on different topics. Then you went on to digital business. Then you went on to entrepreneurship and business. Now you've gone on to become an author. Do you have to not continuously reinvent the wheel when it comes to doing something that you've not done before, because you have to do all those rounds again? So isn't that something that's challenging? And what would you say to young people who look at role models who are bracketed in a particular category and they're very happy out there?
And they're experts in that.
They're experts.
And I think that's very important. I'd say look inside and understand who you are as a person. I get bored very easily. And this is my brother sitting here in the audience, or I would have said this was the case with my boyfriends as well. But no claps. But that's who I am, and I recognize and I understand that I'm someone who gets bored very easily. So I have to continue to challenge myself, and I have to keep doing something new at every point to go to that next level. For so many who have that laser focus, you pick that one thing and then you stick to it. You become the expert, you become the best at it, that nobody in the world can be better at it than you. But for me, I want to do so many things and be the best at them all, because that's what my personality is. So something I talk about in the book is, don't just do what you love, right? Today we hear so much that find your passion, what do you love, chase it, chase your dreams, find your, what is it that you love the most, take that as your work, choose that as your career. But I think it's so important to also do not just what you love, but also what you're good at. You have to try 10 different things to see what are you good at, what is coming to you, what is making you hit that sixer with ease. That's as important as loving what you do.
No, they've got the cue.
Let's keep this up.
They've got cue. They know what to do. Another thing about you is that you're a great multitasker. You don't shy away, and this I'm very happy. Thank you. Now we have 2 mics. Actually, we have 3 mics. And technically 4 mics. Just doing math. But, Masoom, you don't shy away from the prospect and the concept of saying that you come from privilege, therefore it's much easier for you to do so many things in comparison to very many people. I've met so many young people, and of course I don't do the invitations, but whenever I do the invitations and people are kind enough in order to accept, but I found it very difficult to invite those who are unable to accept that they come from privilege, because if you come from privilege, you've already got 1 foot ahead in the game. And to very many people who are out here who come from privilege and who come from those institutions, you've not taken it for granted. You've made the most despite coming from privilege, and you've taken every opportunity. What is your message to those people who come from privilege and sometimes take it easy, saying, you know, if this doesn't work out, we've always got option B, we've got option C, and then if all of this doesn't work out, we've got mom and dad's business at least. So, what is your message to those people? I'm going slightly out of syllabus, but
No, of course. I think everyone is dealt with a different set of cards in life, right? I think, and I always say this, I think I was blessed with my set of cards because I am very privileged. I have the most incredible family. They're sitting right here actually on the first row. Let's do a clap for them. And I have Bobby, you want to turn around and say hi to everyone? And even right now as I'm sitting here, I live in Dubai, guys, if you didn't know that. And this book tour was planned and I needed to be here. And my husband also had to travel for work. Of course, on the same dates I had to travel. So my parents have had to leave their home and go to Dubai because I have a 1.5-year-old baby and we can't leave him alone. And you need that support, right? It is so hard to be sitting here. You could be seeing any image of me, or you see my face on the cover of this book. I think it's a stunning cover, but you don't realize that so much of it is because of the support that you have in so many ways. So firstly, I'm very, very thankful and grateful for that. And I think when we talk about privilege, once again, I don't know why I was given this, right? I don't know why, even in terms of so many opportunities I've had, I don't know why I was given this blessing compared to someone else. There's nothing I can do but say a thank you for that. I will never know the answer to that question. But I do think with the cards that you're dealt with, good or bad, you have to show up as your 100% self, right? And on every single day, I think you can't decide when you want to show up and when you don't want to show up. The point is that every single morning you wake up, and this is something I tell myself, that today I'm going to be the best version of myself. Today I'm going to be the best wife, the best mom, the best boss, the best friend that I can be today. And I think that is when you set that boundary and you set those goals for yourself. See, Rishabh, they like this question.
They like this answer more than the question. But, Masoom, you spoke of being a mother, being a wife, being a best friend, being in charge of a business, creating content. You need to multitask. Given the last question and the context of the last question, of course we know it might be slightly easier with a little more help, but there are people who can't essentially do even one properly. You manage to do so many. And in light of the fact that you're talking to school students, for us, studying maths, history, science and geography together can become cumbersome. How does one multitask so efficiently when it comes to your life and extrapolating that into school children?
I don't know, yeah, guys. I did very badly in school. So I don't know how you do it.
And you
Everyone would ask me, what's your favorite subject? I used to say none. But that was true, I didn't. And this should just hold as proof is that nobody has the answer to everything. Rishabh asks firstly very difficult questions. Then he expects you to have the answer to all of them. But just know, today I know so many people have spoken to you. Nobody has the answers to everything. Nobody is perfect. All of you sitting here can be way more successful, way more famous, way more accomplished than anyone you've seen here today. And that's your power. Geography, history, however you perform right now, it's okay. But it does matter how good of a human being you are.
There are teachers. No, I'm just saying on a lighter note. But round of applause. These people are already clapping. But Masoom, you walked almost every red carpet in the world. And on a lighter note, you can check off the I.I.M.U.N red carpet also. You have done multiple sessions online, but this is the first in-person session that you are attending. You remain a role model for a lot of people across different walks of life. Who has been, because this is I.I.M.U.N's role model series, who has been your role model?
Shit. See, tough questions on tough questions. Frankly, I've not had one, if I can be very honest. I think and it's something I talk about in the book. I think I turn to different people for different strengths of theirs. And I think that's how it should be. That's why I even previously said, I don't think you should idolize anyone today. Any of the speakers today, any celebrity, any actor, Shah Rukh Khan is the most incredible human being. But don't idolize anyone, because when you idolize someone, you start to mimic their path. When the way to live life is to create your own path. So I talk about in the book how I learned a lot from Priyanka Chopra. I talk about in the book how I learned from Deepika Padukone. I learned from Rishabh that he does everything with a smile on his face. सबसे गंदा question पूछ लेगा but with a smile on his face. And see,
I thought the questions were nice.
And I think it's all around you. Like my bhabhi is the most calm person you'll ever meet. That's what I learned from her. My brother is the most restless person you'll ever meet. That's what I learned from him, that you have to keep going. You can never stop, not for a minute, not for a second. So pick up the best from everyone around you, but don't idolize anyone. Yeah, just create your own path.
You're missing something. Create your own path, and that is something that I think is something that you've done yourself, and therefore a great example to emulate and pick up the best from. Somebody who's written about your book and whom I also greatly revere, Karan speaks very highly about you and your book. Says everything that you touch turns to gold.
Dil se Karan kaun? Say Karan Johar. Sabka best friend nahi hai.
Correct. Khali Masoom ka best friend hai. But he's written so highly of you in the book. He does a small.
Should I read out?
Please read out what he's written. No, this is the bad mic. I promise.
Hello. Okay. So Karan Johar says, a narrative I didn't see coming, very honest and filled with insights on how to make things happen. To be like Masoom is the aspiration of a generation of Indian girls, a self-made social media icon. Every product she touches turns to gold. A true pioneer.
Now that we've see, this is the bad one. Now that we've clarified who's best friend, but on a lighter note, to end this entire, to end the conversation from my part, is a small rapid fire, at the end of which there is no hamper. So I apologize. We don't have sponsors. It's a young people's organization. The rapid fire is the first thought that comes to your mind when I say the following things. When I say fashion weeks in India.
Beautiful.
Women entrepreneurship in India.
Growing.
Glass ceilings.
An illusion.
A daily mantra that drives you.
Everything is figure outable.
A movie that you recommend everyone watch.
Three Idiots. What an audience, guys. I love you guys. Like, so motivating. Doesn't matter what kind of mood I came here in, I'm gonna go smiling for sure.
Glad. A content creation myth that you want to bust.
That it's easy. It's not.
Influencing teenagers in the content era. When I say teenagers in the content era, what's the thought?
I think it's difficult. You guys are so opinionated. It's difficult to influence you.
One book you recommend everyone read.
She'll never make it.
Yeah, when I say youth, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
Energy.
When I say India,
The youth.
okay, that's a safe one. Well, and when I say I.I.M.U.N, what's the first thought that comes to your mind?
Groundbreaking.